guys, this is Heidi with Sunday Simple Supper, and I'm going to open my dishwasher so it doesn't make noise. Sometimes I forget that it's on. I have a really busy day today. My son is having a piano recital, and I'm getting a knife out of the drawer here. I'm going to share with you one of his absolute favorite meals, and that is my lasagna. I have had this requested a couple times because I think that it may have been featured in one of my What's for Dinner videos, and somebody asked me a while back to share, so I thought since I'm going to make it, why not make a video and share with you guys for this week's Sunday Simple Supper. So I just kind of want to run through the ingredients with you guys and explain one thing to you. But to start with, on the stove over here, I have 2 pounds of lean ground turkey. You do not have to use ground turkey. You can use ground beef. You can use venison. I have used venison for a lot of things. You can use anything that you want. I preferably like the ground turkey because it makes my meals a little bit leaner. And because of that, I want to say that I add a tablespoon of olive oil to my pan while I'm browning the meat up, because I'm going to put some veggies and some garlic, and I believe it adds a lot of flavor to my lasagna. Okay, so I've got some minced onion, I've got some parsley flakes, and I've got some oregano leaves, and I add a tablespoon of the minced onion and a teaspoon of each one of these, the oregano leaves and the parsley. You're also going to need a jar of spaghetti sauce. Now, if you have your own homemade sauce, by all means use it. Use any kind of spaghetti sauce that you prefer. I would love this dish with homemade spaghetti sauce, but I don't have any on hand, so I'm just using the Kroger brand. This is the roasted red pepper with garlic. Let me see if you guys can see it. Yep. All right. Then you're going to need a half of a container. Sometimes I add a little bit more of the small curd cottage cheese. You're going to need a large bag, and this is 4 cups of mozzarella cheese. This comes from Aldi's. My cottage cheese came from Aldi's. And then you're going to need 1 pepper. I have a red pepper, a yellow pepper, and an orange pepper in here. What I like to do to make this dish look pretty is I like to add a half of a red pepper and half of a yellow, or a half of a orange, and I just chop it really finely and brown it with my turkey meat on the stove with my spices. Now, somebody noticed that I had bought these lasagna noodles in my grocery haul, and these are the oven ready lasagna noodles. Now, somebody said, well, I just used the regular lasagna noodles without boiling it first, and my reply to them was that the reason why I buy the oven ready is because I'm using a very lean meat, and a lot of times when you aren't using a lean meat, the other, like ground beef for instance, puts off a lot of liquids when it's cooking. And I feel like, because I'm using the ground turkey, when I have not pre-boiled my other, just the regular lasagna noodles, that my lasagna was too dry. And that is just a personal preference of mine. If I was you, I would try it both ways. If you're not going to use ground turkey, there may not be an issue. But I will tell you this. I do like the Kroger brand oven ready lasagna noodles, but if you have a Whole Food near you, they have a brand that's organic, and I find that it is the absolute best oven ready lasagna, and I think it's called a no-cook lasagna noodle, and it is fabulous. I find that it has a better taste to it, and it I've had fresh pasta before, and it has more of a fresh pasta type taste to it. That's just my opinion. You guys do with it what you want. But that is what my response is of why I buy the oven ready lasagna noodles. Now, when I'm doing my spinach rolls and I use the lasagna noodles, I am cooking those lasagna noodles, so I just use the regular ones. So I just thought that I would add that for those of you that are probably going to ask why I use the oven ready. So basically right now I'm just going to simply chop my peppers up. I'm going to get these washed, and then I'm going to chop it up, and I think I'm going to use a half a red, half a yellow. And I think that peppers are so pretty. I just love them. I wish I had fake ones that looked real for decoration in my kitchen, because I just think that peppers are just so really, really pretty. So I'm going to get these washed. Let me go over here and wash these good. I just went to the grocery store and over the weekend, and I went to Aldi's and I got like almost $200 worth of groceries in my cart to get up to the register, and the lady to tell me that the registers were completely down. She's very rude actually, and she seemed really happy to let me know she couldn't check me out, so I left my groceries sitting there for her to put back. These peppers smell really good. Aldi's is an excellent place for produce. I have to say, their produce is probably the best prices I find anywhere, and also too, they have been carrying a large selection here recently of spices, which, let me tell you, if you do a lot of cooking, spices are very expensive in other stores. I can't understand why they charge so much. Of course, different brands are different prices, but honestly, it's just, I think, ridiculous. I'm not using one of my best knives right now, but I'm going to get these chopped up and put in the pan over here with my meat and my spices, and I'm going to get this browned up, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you guys how I, that I add, what I add next to my sauce, as well as how I lay this in the pan and get this ready for dinner tonight, because I'm really, really excited about Lucas and his piano recital. Those of you guys that don't know anything about Lucas, when Lucas's brother was diagnosed with leukemia, we had a rent-to-own piano, and we also, he was going to lessons. We were paying for him to go to lessons. And of course, he doesn't really need much lessons, because in my opinion, he plays great. But with any type of musical skill, you know, my mother went to lessons, my goodness, for years and years and years. And she is a very gifted pianist. But you never stop practicing, and you never stop learning. It's just like cooking, you just keep going. But one thing, when we were hit very financially hard, and we had to let go of Lucas's piano, and it was one of the hardest things for me as a mom to do to one of my kids, but he never once complained. He was willing to give it up because he knew that we had to get Dylan well. And so we did get him a keyboard, although he does not want a keyboard. He wants a real piano, but we still don't have the money to get him that. But he has started lessons back up, and since he started working, he is actually paying for his own lessons. That's how much of a love that he has for pianos, you know, for playing piano. So I'm very excited about him tonight and hearing him play. And I'm hoping that my husband gets up soon so I can charge my camera and have that ready so I can video it tonight. So I'm gonna get my seasonings in here. And so I put minced onion. And I love minced onion because honestly, it can be used in a lot of recipes. If you don't have any onion on hand, it is excellent. I mean, just by far excellent. And I just love seasonings, guys. I get carried away sometimes with adding them because I just think they smell so fantastic. And I also want to get out my garlic, and I use this humongo thing of garlic from Costco, and I probably add a couple tablespoons, I guess. I don't know, just a heaping big tablespoon of garlic is what I add to my meat. And I just love garlic, guys. I think garlic smells good. Probably not on your breath after you eat it, but I like the way it smells. So I'm going to start browning this up and get this meat good and browned. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what is next once I get this good and turned on, if I can find the right knob. Okay, now that I have my meat all good and cooked up with the spices and the peppers and the garlic, I'm going to go ahead and add my spaghetti sauce to this. This is a very thick spaghetti sauce, so I'm probably going to have to add, let me get a spoon, probably have to add a little bit. I'm just going to use this here. Probably going to have to add a little bit of water to the jar to make sure that I get it all out, but it'll be fine. Alright. Now, if you've never cooked with tomato sauce before, you want to turn your heat down because it will splatter everywhere and get all over your clothes and everything else. So at this point, I add just a little bit of water to my jar and add the lid back to it and shake it a good bit to try to get all of, you know, because you pay for this jar, you want to get all of it out. So there we go. Can get it all out. And I save these jars and I wash them and I use them for all kinds of stuff. Christmas presents, I put all kinds of teacher gifts. I've done everything with jars. I know a lot of people use mason jars, but you don't have to have mason jars to do everything. So once I get this combined, and as you can tell, I'm trying not to get it all over my stove and combine this easily. And my dishwasher's running. I keep forgetting to pull it out whenever I push the videoing thing, so sorry about the noise. So I'm going to add a half of a container of cottage cheese. Now, my mother, she hates ricotta cheese, and this is where I get this from. I use the cottage cheese instead, and it's cheaper than ricotta cheese. So if you guys like ricotta cheese, you can definitely use ricotta, but I just go for the cottage cheese because I don't use the whole container, and I love cottage cheese. So that's my lunch back there, and that container was left. So I get this all good and combined. And you know, with lasagna, you can add anything you want. I added peppers, but you can add mushrooms. I try to keep it on a little more simple basis. I don't have picky kids, But I will say Jonathan is probably my most pickiest kid when it comes to adding a lot of onions and peppers, and you know, he likes things pretty basic. So I'm going to turn the heat off on that, and I'll bring it over here so that I can start assembling this and show you how I do it. Now I'm going to get a ladle, because I think a ladle makes it a lot easier to do. I'm getting it out of the dishwasher. It's clean, it's just on the dry thing, and it's hot. So I just use a ladle, and I'm going to come back here and just double check my camera just to make sure that you guys are seeing. So I'm using a 9x13 metal pan. It's not very pretty, but it's practical. You can use a glass. You can use, I use the aluminum pans. If you're not familiar with that, I'll show you one of these from the Dollar Tree when I'm going to freeze it. I don't use these unless I'm going to freeze, but if you're in a really big hurry and you need a simple meal, you can freeze these lasagnas, and I have frozen like 4 at a time. They keep for a really long time in the freezer. And then when you're done, you just throw the pan away. You don't even have to wash any dishes. So that is awesome if you have a lot of mouths to feed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to layer a little bit of sauce in the bottom of my pan. Just a little bit, just enough to cover the bottom. And I can see those peppers, and it looks so pretty. And you want to make sure that your bottom is covered, because when you add your lasagna noodles, you don't want them to stick to the bottom. So I'm just going to open up my lasagna noodles, and I'm just going to start my layering. And if they're broken, don't have a cow. It will be okay. Breathe in and out. It will be okay. See, I just made a big mess, but it'll be all right. Okay, and then when I get to this part, if I have a broken one, I just take it and I add it to this. And I just layer it like that. It's not complicated. Then I add a layer of the mixture again. And this time when I get this covered, I want to get my mozzarella cheese out, and I want to make sure that I get a nice layer of cheese on here, because that is what makes this absolutely yummy. Then I want to put a layer of cheese out on here. And at this point, it's definitely not rocket science. It's just layering, layering, layering. So I go to the noodles again. And if you want to get real precise with it, you can. I don't. You know, perfection is overrated. I just kind of lay in there what I can. As they say, houses are not for perfection, they're for freedom of expression. So, same with cooking. Sometimes the best things come out of imperfections. I have thought many recipes were going to flop, and they have turned out to be some of the best things I've made. So don't get frustrated with yourself. You'll definitely be okay. A lot of people say, well, I don't cook. I don't know how to cook. You don't know how to cook because you don't try. And a good cook is not born in a day. I burnt a lot of stuff on the stove learning how to feed my family. So we're going to get this cheese out. And we're going to do some more noodles. And just kind of press it down. I just take the pasta noodle and press it a little bit. And these noodles don't break, you know, perfectly, so it's okay. And I want to add my sauce. And when I bake the lasagna, even though I'm going to cover it with foil, I put it on a cookie sheet anyhow, just in case it would boil over just a little bitty bit or anything like that. I've never honestly had it happen, but believe me, it's better to be safe than sorry, because if you have ever had to clean your oven, you know what I'm talking about. It can be really messy. Okay, so we got that. And we're going to do another layer of cheese. And you want to build this up until you end with cheese. You want to end with cheese, so watch how much cheese you are using. I would rather use a little bit less on this and be able to cover the, you know, on this layer, and be able to cover the last layer so that the lasagna looks really pretty, if you know what I mean. So this is probably going to be my last layer. And if I don't use all my pasta noodles, which sometimes I don't, I will save them to boil, and even though they're oven ready, and use them for my lasagna rolls. So this is going to be my last layer. Now, if I was going to freeze this, I would go ahead and put the remaining of the cheese on the top. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. But I'm going to cover it thoroughly. One of the things that I think people do wrong whenever they are making lasagna is they do not cover their lasagna pans thoroughly with foil, and the steam escapes, and that is what can dry your pasta noodles out as well. So you want to make sure, if you don't have heavy duty foil, you want to use a couple layers of the thinner foil to make sure that you get your lasagna good and covered. And after my lasagna has baked, I'm going to peel the foil off, and I'm going to put the remaining of the cheese on the top of the lasagna, because what happens a lot is the foil sticks to the cheese, and then you lose your top of your cheese, you know, your lasagna. And I want this lasagna to look pretty when I bake it. So after about 45 minutes to an hour, when I know the lasagna is done, I am going to pull the foil off, and for another additional 10 to 15 minutes until it's good and bubbly and good and brown, I'm going to put the rest of this mozzarella on the top of it. You know, so that it is pretty when I present it tonight for dinner. And so I've got some chocolate cupcakes made for tonight, and I made homemade chocolate frosting because that is Lucas's favorite. And I have bread rising in the oven as well. Well, not in the oven, in the microwave. It's just sitting in the microwave. If I have my oven on, so of course it's not in the oven. Okay, so what I do is I just do about 4 pieces, because you don't want the steam to escape out of your lasagna. You want it to stay in there, because that is what is going to ensure that your noodles are going to be nice and tender. And I don't want a dried out pasta dish. I want a nice you know, I want a nice noodle and soft noodle that's not all dry and hard and crusty, and I don't want that. So I'm going to cover this really, really well, and I'm going to just stick this in the refrigerator, and then when I'm ready to fix dinner later on this evening, these will, this will be ready to go. And that's one thing I like about lasagna is you can put it all together now, and then you can, you know, cook it whenever you're ready. So I will be back to show you guys what it looks like after I get it cooked up. I'll try to remember to show you the in-between part where I remove the foil and add the cheese, but tonight's kind of busy, but I will do my best, and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, it is evening time, and I wanted to quickly show you that I took the lasagna out. I took the foil off, which is right here, and I covered it with the rest of the mozzarella cheese, and I'm going to stick it in the oven for about 10 more minutes, and then it'll be time to serve, and I'll show you a quick glimpse of it whenever it comes out. The lasagna just came out. I hope you all enjoyed this Sunday Simple Supper. Subscribe if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up on this video, and give me some ideas for the new year for what you would like to see on Sunday Simple Supper, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye. Bye.